Hello, guys. Hi, this is Ganesh Naik. Thank you very much for joining us. I'm going to be doing a quick interview with one of my students who has just now cleared the FRM Level 1 exam for May 2022 in his first attempt. And in this interview, we are going to be talking about his journey, his way of preparation, his methodology, what challenges he faced. And the purpose of this discussion is primarily to help students who are, say, sitting in the tier 2 cities or who are not having any mentor as such, and they might need some guidance into how other people are preparing. Okay, so with this, we're going to be starting out with the discussion. So first of all, thank you, Sachin. Thank you for joining us and being a part of this conversation. So thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you, sir.
And before we start the conversation, can you just give a brief to the audience with respect to your experience in the industry and what is your basic job profile?
Sure. So I have 20 plus years of experience. I've been working since 2001. And my journey has been, I was part of the retail banking, started my career with Citibank, more on sales side, wealth management, CASA, to a change of a profile where I went to US to study for my MBA. And post MBA, I worked in one of the hedge funds for a couple of years. That was my beginning of a journey of an analyst profile, where I was not part of the retail banking and more looking at the quant and finance. And since then, I've been part of risk as a domain, risk or even numbers, I would say, that dealing with data a lot.
Okay, perfect. Now, so anybody will have a question in his mind that why after 20 years you're doing FRM with the experience of 20 years?
Yeah. So since my MBA, I wanted to do CFA. I remember getting a scholarship from one of my professor for CFA level 1, and then the life in US was quite stressful as a student also, and I could not attempt. I didn't sit for the exam, though I had a scholarship and all that. I could not study. Since then, back of the mind, always this was there that I need to give this certificate program, whether it's CFA or not. But now that I've moved closer to risk profile and been working in the risk for a couple of years, the challenges were there that I didn't understand what is ECL and what are these different models now, risk models. So based on regulations, RBI's regulation or the IFRS norms, we were to implement as back of the job. So with that, the journey started, and I did realize that it's time to go back to books again. Though I have implemented as part of this by doing some crash course with KPMGs or many of these big fours who offer these programs. But hence this was there for long on my head to do something of this. And hence I'm very happy that I could attempt this FRM part 1 and clear it.
Perfect. So now when you picked up the book, for the first time, the Schweizer book, and you are going through the Schweizer itself, right? So what was your thought process? Which book you said you felt that, okay, this is slightly easy, this is slightly tough?
Book 3 was relatively easy, where I could connect because it was all around products and financial services. Book 1 also I could connect very well, largely theory based, and I understand based on our work profile. Was not that difficult to connect. Book 2 also was relatively okay, but some of those chapters where I was clearly struggling, like probability, I don't know how many hours I have already invested. I was still struggling at the end to get that right exactly. Book 4 was quite interesting, though Schweizer notes were not enough because there are less examples as part of it. And there was that need of looking at what are these models which they are talking of, though as part of my data science also, some time series and all that was easy to pick it up. And hence book 4, I would say, based on Schweizer note, was difficult to follow. You need to put some extra effort to look at where is the other content. So it makes sense to you.
Okay. Now, with respect to your preparation, how much time you were able to dedicate, and when did you start your preparation for the May exam? When was your starting point?
Yeah, so glad I remember all these dates clearly. 28th November, we paid fees to you. So 1st December, we started that journey. And then
Okay.
from 1st December, um, it was consistent effort every day. The target was to do one chapter a day. And
Hmm.
we started with following your videos. And in 2.5 months, or maybe exactly on 10th of February, I completed all the course.
Okay.
10th of
So your
February,
focus was very
exactly.
clear every single day, watching one video or one chapter
Watching
complete.
one video, more than a video, like preparing our own notes also for each chapters. And
Okay.
also there were some Q&A, Shwezar, just to touch base on that so we can attempt some of the questions, was
Hmm.
something which I was doing in my first reading.
Okay. Okay. Perfect. So during this, from the December till your Feb 10, wasn't there any problem with respect to time commitment because you're also working? So did you face any such challenge?
Uh, no, because I had my study buddy. Anytime there was a work pressure and all that, then to compensate, because there was almost kind of a race that he's going ahead versus I am going ahead. So
Hmm.
that helped both of us. There were planned leave which I had, like one vacations and all that. I knew that I have like 7 days of a break and I have to be 7 chapters ahead of him before I go into my
Okay.
vacation. So it helped.
Okay. Okay. Perfect. Perfect. And then with respect to question solving, you started after your completion of the videos and then you started it.
Yes. So 10th Feb, we started with the question bank and your question bank, which are part of when we subscribe.
Hmm.
The approach we took is we went through again the Schwazern text end to end, the word to word, and then directly attempted. Then we looked at again Q&A of Schwezer,
Okay.
just to understand that we can easily attempt, and then we approached your question bank. This was the
Okay.
second round of the readings which we wanted to do. From 10th Feb, we completed around 10th of April, all the chapters.
Perfect. Okay. Okay. And when you were doing that, you were not going back to the videos again. You were just reading the solution.
Yeah, no, videos we didn't go through. Videos,
Okay.
because clarity of concepts were really there. Some of the concepts which were not clear, I think we were discussing together.
Hmm.
And glad that I had this study partner, where I think just not the study partner, I would say we went together complementing each other. The
Hmm.
areas which he was strong, I was completely weak. And the areas which he had challenges, maybe tricks and all that, I was watching a lot of videos on even on calculator, all
Hmm.
those kind of things which we implemented. So I was happy to have a study partner where topics which was difficult I could cover up with discussing with him.
Okay. Okay. And see, when you're preparing as a layman, I might feel that somebody with an experience in the industry, he might be able to pick up things faster. Is this correct? When you look at FRM curriculum.
Yes, I would say not to every extent. For example, futures, derivatives, options is not something which I had any experience on. So there would be some of the other topics which you had never had an experience. So
Okay.
those are the one which you go back as a fresher and try and learn as much as possible. So, but
Perfect.
other topics where I had experience, I mean, ECL as a topic, why bringing this up was one reading was enough to even understand that what it means.
Okay. Okay. And when we were solving the question bank, chapter-wise question bank, was there any issue that you're facing in the sense not scoring properly or getting too much wrong or any other major issues that you're facing?
Mhm. First two chapters, I think, till I remember, we didn't score very well. It was like 50% correct.
Mhm.
And then we did realize that the question banks are not as Schweizer question banks. These are in detail. So we need to give ourselves enough time,
Okay.
read rightly, ensure we are not doing any of those error. And then after that, I don't think we have had any problem, because there were two things which were there on question bank, which was motivating me. One was number of corrects. So number of corrects, our aim was to always score 70% and more on the question
Hmm.
banks. But topics which were difficult, where we scored, say, 50% correct, I was looking at that percentile to get that level of motivation, that are we on that difficult topic where we are not scoring, or what was that? So that helped a lot actually. That
Hmm.
percentile mark on that top, which is all the students who are appearing for that same question, was
Hmm.
giving us that extra kick. So some topics
Okay.
where we scored like 60% right, but our score was touching 80, 85, 90 percentile on that mark, clearly
Okay.
highlighted that this is a difficult topic for others also. So then
Hmm.
give
Hmm,
enough
hmm.
time. And we identified some of those topics. For example, book 4 was clearly, from all the interviews and from all the chit chat which we did with all the students networking, did realize that book 4 is the most difficult. The intent was to score top percentile on those books, which was the most difficult. And we
Hmm.
were sure of that. So yeah.
Okay, perfect. And so mid of April, you completed your question bank. Then what was your approach after that?
Approach was to, that's where my struggle started, from that 10th of April till the exam date. Was I was never prepared of last minute revisions, and the notes
Okay.
which I had prepared were detailed enough that it was just impossible for me to look at all those notes again in 1 month for all 60 chapter. My struggle was that last 1 month I never planned that how would I go about it. And
Okay.
so then what we did is we looked at again the question bank, and we had this chapter wise, so book wise. And book wise, we did attempt, we skipped the important concept wise together, because we were sure of all those concepts and there was no revision required. So we
Hmm.
attempted directly a book wise, and then looked at mock little earlier than our exam. We started like 10 or 12 days advance,
Okay.
and attempted these mocks.
Okay. And you were able to complete all my mocks plus carb sample paper?
Yes, so total 4 mocks we completed and 1 carp. Yes.
What was the average score that you were getting in those exams?
Yeah, that moment was quite nervous. I wasn't sure, because we started testing the water and then and say, all right, did all that work which we have put in already will take us. So first mock scored 70, right, and that's
Wow.
when
Okay.
my confidence grew and said, oops, okay, this is great. And second mocks again, I was nervous in terms of that. Was it a fluke? So second mock also got 69. I was happy. I said, okay. And then consistently, we scored between 65 and 72 for all
Okay.
4.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. And I think so one of the biggest factor was that when you started your videos, you were consistent every single day, one chapter.
Yes.
So that created the momentum till the end actually.
Right.
And because a lot of people, they don't complete the videos and they end up doing the question bank very fast, and the
Yes.
results doesn't show up primarily. Now,
Right.
when you went for the exam, what happened in the exam hall? What was the first hour like?
So I was accompanied by my wife, and of course, we just sat and had a cup of a coffee there. And then I was waiting for, I knew that the center is too small. I was imagining a big center versus it was like very small, like 50 square feet by 50 square feet, or a room with 6 or 7 workstations there.
Mhm.
The first hour was, I was early, and we were asked to sit there till this person get things set up on the laptops and computers.
Mhm.
And yeah, and as soon as we were done, we were allowed to sit. This was before the exam start time. So like
Okay.
10 minutes before only he said, okay, it's fine to start. So we started the exam.
Okay. And when we started the exam, in the first hour, what was your feedback in the sense, were you getting easy question, difficult question? What happened in that 1 hour, first hour?
So um, first hour was the most difficult, I would say, because while my date was the last date of the exam, I had enough feedback that it's all theory, which is 80% is the theory. And my first hour was 100% numerical. Every question was numbers, and I said, this is not the pattern which I was expecting. And I just wanted to keep it cool and attempt. And though my target always during the mock always was that first hour, we have to complete 30 question. But this was 19 question. I was slow the first hour because everything I knew that it's not theory. I have to solve. And so first hours was difficult. And then suddenly the pattern changed. It was 100% theory, and the theories also was light, that 3, 4, 5 statement questions.
Okay.
So then I knew that this is the time where I have to catch up on the time, whatever I have. So my target was again to reach 60 questions by the second hour. So I think I was there at 53, 54 by the second hour also.
Okay. Okay. And then primarily you were able to complete everything in that 4 hour. There was no issue, time issue as such.
I wish I had few extra minute, though I had marked 18 to 19 question to revisit. I could not revisit last 5 or 6 questions.
Okay.
But it was neck to neck, largely because my first hour was something where I had to manage the time better.
Okay.
So
Okay. And primarily, so what was the total bifurcation of theory and quant for your paper?
I think it was 80-20 only, just that first hour was all 19 question all together, and then everything
Okay.
was theory.
So you were able to solve those 19 questions properly.
I won't say properly. I was because generally you go slow in terms of your first attempt. You're doubting you don't go that smooth in the first hour. Even if you know that the answer is coming, you still go ahead and redo it to try and see, all right.
Okay.
So
Okay.
first hour was, I just kept cool in terms of trying to say that I've worked very hard. I don't think anything can come which will disrupt my flow of this exam. Was okay. I think after that I was pretty okay of answering right on spot.
Okay. Okay. And out of those 100 questions, what was your understanding that, okay, when you came out of the exam, this is what I might get as a right answer? These are
Blank,
the numbers.
completely blank. Sir, yeah, the impression was like I just came out of the center. I had no idea that did I attempt even FRM exam, because the way it was, but I mean, it was not direct. That's the challenge, that these are not direct questions which were asked. It was all indirect, and say you guess what I am asking, and based on these answers, then you have to pick up the topic and try and understand that what topic it is. So I was blank because my expectation, and I knew while mock also, while we were giving mock, the impression that whole 4 hours was, I don't know whether I'll pass, but as soon as you click submit button and you see the good marks and say, wow, I didn't expect this. So I was hoping this exam also would be similar, that I would come blank, I would be upset. I was ready with that kind of an impression because you don't get to see the score. But I was blank in a way that I didn't even, because many students were able to recall which questions were there, which chapter were touch base. I could not even recall any question or any chapter.
Okay.
That was that a moment for me and say, wait, what did I go through? I couldn't even recall whether it's book 1, book 2, book 3, book 4, just applying your knowledge together on many of those questions. So I was a little confused as soon as I was out of the exam center.
Okay. Okay. And now when the result came in, what are the quartiles that you had?
Yeah, so my book 1 was first quartile, my book 4 was first quartile, and my book 2 and book 3 is second quartile. And that's where.
Okay, so you got that point, the first quartile in the fourth book.
Yeah, so both of us, I think study partners, we aimed first quartile in all 4 books. We were very clear from very day. So your words of imagine day 1 that you will pass, we started imagining we are scoring quartile 1. and what it takes to score, because quite clearly, because I want to implement a lot of these learning back in my job. And if I have to uh, implement certain things, I think it's quite important that fundamentally I understand everything, how it works and goes. So, but yeah, happy at the end that at least I could get the difficult book quartile one, and yeah, it's okay, I think.
Perfect, perfect. And what would be your suggestion to new students who are appearing for FRM? Any three tips that you would like to give to them?
Um, Blindly follow what Sir says. Second is there is too much content in the world. You will not be able to complete all of that. So if you are happy that you have more material on Bionic Turtle and you have GARP and you have a lot of other content with you in your hard drive, but do not even attempt of trying to do from all. You will have to just
Hmm.
simply follow one and do end to end to ensure that you can know the course and the subject.
Perfect, perfect. Wonderful, wonderful, Sachin. Thank you very much for taking out time, because this interview and all this is going to be very, very interesting for the students. And especially I see a lot of people in the middle of their career, like 7 years, 6 years. They also want to do the FRM. That their question is, how will it help me? Okay, and I tell them that this is a skill set that you're taking. If you go as you move to the senior management and all, it helps you to brand yourself, that you have some basic idea about risk management also, even if you're not from a risk management background. And also for students, college students or people who are just now entering into corporate and going for the exam, definitely this interview can be motivating, because like the way you have prepared, even with the job, right? So that is commendable, and that actually led to the result. The movement and the flow that actually created the impact in the at the end primarily. So thank you very much, Sachin. Thank you for your time. I really
Thank you,
appreciate
sir.
this, and this interview is going to be very helpful for the students.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Take care.